Good morning, folks. I want to talk about freedom in this country and hypocrisy among us, not only in the churches or in government, but the everyday folk. We know that we all have our own mind and our own perspective. This is the way we were wired. But also nature and nurture. We know these things. We know that our very neighbor is not going to be on the same train of thought as we. We cannot even trust like we used to, if we ever were able to trust. With God, in us as individuals, in our communities, with God, we will do it right. Because even though we're different, this does not mean that we're each other's enemies. So whenever you have different people in your community, don't assume that you have to purge them out because they're not like you. It's ridiculous. We've known that diversity equals success. When you have a balanced, more well-rounded system. And heaven on earth is a new system. Not world order, because the world will never be in order. It is about a different perspective in mind and in our hearts. We will have a conscience. People think that the conscience is in the mind, and it is, but it starts here. When you feel that, oh, trashing our streets, it's wrong. I know most of us don't trash our streets, don't litter out there. But some of us do, and I shouldn't say some of us, I shouldn't include myself in that, because I despise littering. If you cannot throw it away in the trash can, if there isn't a trash can around, put a bag in your car and dispose of your things in that bag and throw it away when you get home. It is that simple. There's no need to be throwing things out the window. This is disgusting. For one, for two, it's illegal. And for three, what does this say about you? That you don't care? So if you don't care about us, about the children, about the people who have to pick up the trash, then why should anybody care about you? If you are making an effort to throw trash out the window because you don't care, then why should anybody care about you? You have rights. You don't want your rights to be violated. You want your life, and those whom you love, you want your lives to matter. So if you want your lives to matter, think about these things when you are littering, and have a change of heart in a different perspective. So, talking about trash, we have a lot of social trash. And this social trash is something that we ourselves as a society create. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called social trash. We are equally responsible for what we do or leave undone. And I know that you're going to have opinions that vary. like the colors of the rainbow. But we wouldn't have a rainbow if we didn't have the different colors. It wouldn't be beautiful. If it were all one color, it would be nothing special. But a smear of a single color. So anyway, lighting is very important. I'm going to show you. This light here makes me look like I'm a wicked lady. I'm going to move around so you can see lighting. Okay? Let us. You're coming with me. It's dark. It's much better. So, much better. You see? Now I don't look like the devil because I'm not. Okay. So, let's talk about heaven. I pray every night that I pray. I don't pray every night, but notice I said every night that I pray heaven on earth. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Heaven is a different system. Think of your computer. You have a computer everywhere. At home, you have a computer. At the bank, you have a computer. In the workplace. And each computer is different. You use different systems for different things. Okay, we have so many different systems, but ultimately they do the same thing. They facilitate our lives. This is what heaven is. It's a different system that will facilitate our lives. It is like an upgrade, but I shouldn't say, I have to be careful when I say upgrade, because you know, you can have the same old stuff and then you can add to it to upgrade it, but heaven is a new thing. Okay? So we have to think about it this way. Okay? If we don't want to see trash out there in the streets because it makes our cities look like dirty, so we don't litter, right? And the city has people who pick up the trash, but that's not the street trash. The street trash is our inmates who do that. So this encourages even more inmates because there's like a demand for inmates. We need more inmates to pick up the street trash. We need more inmates to do this and that. We are encouraging incarceration. So, a way to look at it, okay, that's a new perspective, is we're not going to litter, and when we see somebody who's littering, we cannot just go after them and tell them, oh, you're doing something illegal, because they know they're doing something illegal. And I know that our police officers are getting paid to look for stuff like this, and they're going to stop somebody and say, hey, you know, you're going to get a ticket because you were littering. And this will help the city because the city has to pay the police officers, and the police officers are doing their job by giving people tickets for littering. And this will keep people from littering because they're not going to want to pay all their hard-earned money for tickets for littering the streets. Okay, so another thing that we can do is have our school children, the older children, the children who know, okay, this is sharp, don't touch sharps, that's dangerous. Children who are instructed to bring, the right shoes, the right protective gear, long pants, long sleeves, go out there with, their protection and sunscreen, whatever, sunglasses, hats, whatever, and the city can provide them with gloves. Okay? And these kids can go out there and avoid sharps with adult supervision to make sure that no kid goes missing while picking up the trash, because that's what our cameras are for. So if we have cameras that catch people in motel rooms having sex with, people do this all the time. And then they'll say, oh, this politician, this actor, they were caught doing this and that. So if people are catching people doing these things, we can very well catch kids being abducted. So we can instruct our children with adult supervision that, hey, we can pick up, the trash, and being careful our kids don't get ran over by any cars, just done in a very orderly way. So the people observing the other children and their parents who may or may not litter the street, they can be learning. Oh, we pick up the trash instead of litter the streets. And when you have no trash out there eventually that needs to be picked up out there in the streets, you're not going to have as much incarceration, because there's not going to be the need for more people to pick up the street trash. See, we have to think about why we have privatized jails and privatized DHR, which is the equivalent of jail. Kids don't have freedom in DHR. They're getting passed around to and from these different foster homes. Foster parents benefit, but the kids don't. And now they're telling me that they're going to send my kid, that they want to send my kid to Brazil. It's like, let me remind you, government of America, that we in this nation don't have slavery. And if we do have slavery disguised as privatized jails and privatized foster care industry, then we need to say it like it is. We don't need to be claiming on our currency "in God we trust," and we don't need to be going to war to fight for the freedom of the people, American people. And we don't need to be saying that China and Russia is our enemy because they're communist. We have Russian Americans. We have Chinese Americans. We don't want to insult their ethnicity by calling their countries of birth communist. We have Vietnamese in America, especially in the South. We don't want to insult their heritage by calling them communist or Cubans. But we need to understand that everybody and their brother comes in here with their customs. So who is America? What is America? Let us talk about these things today. People don't own people. My son and children in DHR are not enemies of the state. They shouldn't have been a burden to their state, because it's their very states who are violating people's rights by picking up these kids. Now, let me remind you that some people call it legal kidnapping. There's nothing legal about kidnapping. There's nothing legal about picking up kids without court order. It is just right down in your face illegal. It is illegal. So if kids are being picked up in an illegal manner, they need to be returned. I don't care if you have sold them out to Brazil government, to other governments, to people for putting these kids in prostitution or group homes. I don't care where these kids are. They need to be returned. My son, Alexander, is not for sale. Let me remind you that I don't want to speak negatively about his family because his family has the right to prosper. His family, Brazilian family, both in Mississippi and in Texas, they have their God-given right to move to a country, America, to prosper. But they came to the United States because in their country, there was a lot of corruption. They were not able to prosper. And they told me themselves that they came here seeking a new start, seeking a better life, seeking prosperity. So they came here illegally and became legal citizens to have the right to their rights. They even had their rights before they were legal. And this is their God-given freedom to do this. They have the right to seek what is good for them. But I'm not going to allow for a trade-off, for a collateral, using my son as collateral to pay somebody else's citizenship or legal right. It's not about trading my son's legal citizenship to this country by birth to be trading for others to come from that very country, Brazil, to come in here to prosper. I was told by this family that in Brazil at that time, and now I've never lived in Brazil, but this is what I was told, that in Brazil at that time, the police officers were accidentally shooting civilians that had nothing to do with the crime by accident because they were not well trained. That they were just shooting at random when they were supposed to be catching the bad guy. This is why I know it is our God-given right to own our guns, freedom to bear arms, because God gives us the intelligence to develop the technologies for us to do. We have freedom. However, when we have people who are not properly trained to use such weapons, only disaster will be the outcome. So if this family came from Brazil a long time ago seeking a better life, seeking justice and freedom and prosperity and all that America stands for, why in the world is our Department of Human Services involved in a personal matter in deciding for my son without my son being heard, which he said, "Mom, I want to live with you." Without me being heard, how is it that in this country we have a panel of judges and attorneys and social workers and psychologists and their associates making decisions for people without the people whom they are discussing there, present? It is not American. It is not legal. to know when we, the parents, are going to sue DHR together so that we will not have to ever endure this again. And that way we can clean it up for future parents so that they don't have to endure what we have had to endure. And our children don't have to suffer what our children have suffered. His father and his family came in here to work. My son will not be used as collateral to pay somebody else's citizenship or legal right to work here. His family in Texas has had more freedoms than American people, and that is good for them. And they were working on their legal right to work here. But it really is not going to make a difference in their lifestyle. They could come in here illegally and prosper. Because nobody knows they're here, they don't have to pay taxes. All of their earnings is for their benefit. And that's none of my business, other than if somebody comes in here illegally, we should go ahead and give them the right to work here because they came in here somehow. We let them in somehow, even if illegally. Because if they have their legal right to work here, they will pay taxes like the rest of us who are citizens and have rights because we pay taxes to benefit from public schools and public libraries, parks, and everything that our taxes pay. This legalizing of the illegal immigrants will also reduce and greatly prevent the identity theft, which is a big problem here in America. And who benefits from identity theft? Not the victims of identity theft, but the lawyers who defend the victims of identity theft. So who is behind identity theft? I know that there is a market because there is a need. So if there's no need, there's no market. So now that you can see me clearly and know that I'm not a witch, I am my Father's daughter. And I have a standard of living. Even if it's just one bedroom. For I am not a slave. I am not a criminal. I am not without sin. I was born here in this planet. I am not an alien, but I am. Because I came here as an alien. I came here through the army. I was an army brat, an army dependent. I am a foreigner, but I'm also domestic. And I swore to defend and protect the Constitution, so help me God. You're not going to see me posting negative posts about our president, no matter who he is. Bush, or Clinton, or Bush, or Obama, or Trump, or Biden, or Michelle Obama, or Bon Jovi. You're not going to see me posting negative posts about our president. We have better things to do. You want to be the change? Be the change you want to see. Let us not be the enemy of our government. Let us be the helper of our government. They need help because they're not doing it right. Let us help them. Let us give them feedback, constructive feedback, and let us genuinely help. Not with guns, with God. I know that guns is just the way it is. They have been developed and will continue to be developed. But it is the use of these weapons that will make a world of difference. Let us not use guns without knowing what we're doing, who we're working for. We are the human race. Let us defend our earth together. Let us unite our intelligence. Let us unite our power. And let us be constructive. Let us make sense of what we're doing here. If we cannot take care of our own earth, we cannot possibly take care of somebody else's planet. And then, if we get there, they're not going to let us in easily, are they? When and if. How do you know? When and if we get there, it's planet Earth. In the future. Because we are going ahead. When and if we get there, it will be planet Earth. A brighter, cleaner, more orderly planet. Because we are going ahead. We can't go back, but we can learn from the past. I have been given 5 doves of peace, and they're in the body of Christ. They came before me. Before. Let us make sense of what we are doing. We can be different, but let us not invalidate one another. I am not going to allow my son being sent to Brazil because my son's not going to be used for collateral for somebody else's passage here. His family in Texas and his family in Mississippi. I agree that they have every right to be here to prosper and be happy. They have that right. His father, on the other hand, chose to leave. He begged me. He said, I want to go back. So I let him have it. I gave him what he wanted. I want my son. I don't want money. I cut my own hair. I color my own hair. Look what coffee can do. Coffee can color your hair, my friends. Coffee is an antidepressant. It does stain your teeth. Yeah, it does. But you know what? There are worse things to worry about. It is all a matter of perspective. Light. The whole earth is a stone being polished. The whole earth has been found. The whole earth that was lost in the world has been found. And we are being polished into the diamond that we are. We were rough, but now we see the potential. The stone before me, we. Our stone, our earth, and everything that lives in it. The windows let the light in. Our light has been found, and it is within us. And now we see all the colors of the rainbow in our beautiful diamond. This is our blueprint that we have been given. We have been lifted. What looks like going up is also coming down, being birthed, found. Let us recognize who our boss is. When we hold a weapon, when we hold any weapon in our hand, let us understand what we're doing and who we are working for. What we're doing and why. Who is our enemy? Sometimes the enemy is within, but the light of God is shining, so we can all clearly see that it is not evil. It is live. This is why we have been lifted and righted. Because in the East, Jerusalem, they read from right to left. Salvation is from the Jews. Tav is our Omega. Tav. All-encompassing truth. Teeth. I will hiss for you. The Son of Man will be lifted like Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness. Wilderness. Wild. The wild branch and the natural branch will become one in the hand of God. Brother and brother. Joseph-Phraim. The end is the beginning. The last will be the first, will be the last. Ephraim, my firstborn son of the Spirit of truth. The Son of Man will be lifted up like Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness. Wilderness, wild. Paul fought wild beasts in Ephesus. The beast. From bull brutality, we have been righted from B to A. From B to A. From Ben to Alpha. Abba. Allah. Almighty, all-encompassing, one true God. Above all humanity. We are going up ahead. And when we get there, it will be a new earth. Because we're going up ahead to the future. Right back to earth, but clean, orderly, shining, clear. So let us start picking up our trash. We learn from our children. They are the future. Yeshua. Yeshua. You heard, you understood, and you acknowledged. Why? Because Judah and Joseph become one in the hand of God. Hand, army. Last and first he is. You better believe it.